Okay, so you know how everyone's always arguing, like, who is the greatest rapper of all time?
Yeah, definitely. Like, it's a constant debate.
It's everywhere, right? Like, you hear it online and in person.
Oh, yeah, totally. Barbershops, social media, you name it.
Exactly. So in this deep dive, we're going to tackle that question.
Sounds fun.
Right. We're going to use all sorts of sources to try to get to the bottom of this.
Awesome.
Yeah, so we've got Billboard's list of the top 50 rappers of all time, since it's hip-hop's 50th anniversary.
Makes sense. 50 years, 50 rappers.
Yep, and then we'll also look at what critics are saying, like what Rolling Stone and The Source think.
Yeah, they always have strong opinions.
They do. And we'll check out some fan polls, too, see what the people think.
I'm curious about that one for sure.
Yeah, me too. And we're even going to go deeper than that and look at, like, how people actually define greatness in rap.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Like, what actually makes a rapper great?
Exactly.
Oh, cool.
So basically, we're going to try to help you understand how people are answering this question, and you know who the top contenders are.
That's a big task.
It is. But it should be interesting.
Definitely. So where should we start?
Well, Billboard just came out with their big list for hip-hop's 50th anniversary, so let's start there.
Okay, yeah, good place to start.
So they put G.O.A.T at number 1.
Interesting.
Yeah. And the rest of their top 10 is like Kendrick Lamar, Nas Tupac, Eminem, Biggie, Lil Wayne, Drake, Snoop Dogg.
Wow, that's a pretty solid list.
And Nicki Minaj.
Oh, of course. How could I forget her?
She's also their pick for greatest female rapper of all time.
Rightfully so.
Totally. And Billboard seems really confident in their choices. They call it a well-thought-out, authentic list.
Well, they do have a lot of experience with, charting and analyzing music.
Right. They're not just throwing names out there.
Exactly.
Like,
they probably took into account, like, how much music each rapper put out, how good it was, their impact on culture, how long they've been around, their lyrics, their flow, all of that.
Yeah, they're definitely looking at the big picture.
It's a pretty holistic approach, I'd say.
For sure. But the thing is, like, when you look at what other people think, it gets more complicated.
Oh, I bet. How so?
Well, both Rolling Stone and The Source, they've both said that Biggie is the greatest.
Oh, wow. So totally different opinion than Billboard.
Yeah. And that kind of shows you how different parts of the hip-hop world, like, value different things.
Makes sense.
Like The Source, they're like really ingrained in the culture.
Yeah.
And they often focus on lyrical skill and street cred.
And Biggie was definitely known for both of those things.
Right. And then Rolling Stone, they have more of a broader view, but they still recognize Biggie's massive influence.
It's true. Like, even MTV back in 2006, they ranked Beatty at number 3 and said he was, like, potentially the most skillful ever on the mic.
Yeah, they were impressed by his pure talent.
It's hard to argue with that.
Definitely. So we've got J.Y.Z at number 1, according to Billboard, and Biggie as the favorite for a lot of other people.
Yeah, it's already getting interesting.
And to make it even more interesting, let's compare two huge names, J.Y.Z and Eminem.
Oh, yeah, they're both giants.
Right. And they've both had crazy success, but in different ways.
For sure.
Like, if you look at Spotify, Eminem has something like 47 million monthly listeners.
Wow, that's a lot.
It is. And J.A.Y.Z has around 8.4 million.
Okay, so a big difference there.
Yeah, Eminem is killing it in terms of, like, current popularity.
Well, he did cross over to a way bigger audience than a lot of other rappers.
That's true. But on the other hand, J.A.Y.Z has won more Grammys, like 23, compared to Eminem's 15.
So more industry recognition for J.Y.Z.
Yeah, so it makes you think, like, which matters more, current popularity or those awards and stuff?
Right. It's a good question. Is it about who's hot right now or who's had the biggest impact overall?
Exactly. And that brings us to the big question, what even makes a rapper the greatest?
Yeah, what are we actually judging them on?
Our sources point to a few main things.
Okay, let's hear them.
So first, there's technical skill and lyricism.
Yeah, that's a big one.
Right. And Biggie's a perfect example. He had this really unique, laid-back flow.
Oh, yeah, totally. And he could tell these, like, vivid stories, almost like movies.
And AllMusic even called him the savior of East Coast hip-hop because he was so good with words.
Yeah, he was a master of his craft.
And his lyrics got sampled and quoted by tons of other artists like J.Y.Z, 50 Cent, Eminem, Lil Wayne, Drake, Kendrick Lamar, Ludacris, Kanye West, like everyone.
Wow, so his influence goes way beyond his own music.
It really does. And then there's commercial success and popularity.
Which we were just talking about with Eminem and J.Y.Z.
Right. Eminem's got the huge streaming numbers now, but J.Y.Z has been in the game for so long and built a whole business empire.
And adapted to all the changes in the music industry.
Exactly. He's a survivor.
And a really smart businessman.
For sure. And then we have to talk about innovation, like pushing the boundaries.
Okay, yeah. Who did that?
Well, our source points to Eminem as the only successful white rapper of the time, overcoming bias and addressing untalked about topics.
That's true. He definitely faced challenges that other rappers didn't.
And he wasn't afraid to be provocative and get really personal on his lyrics.
Which definitely shook things up and brought in new fans.
Yeah, he expanded the genre for sure.
So now that we got these criteria, let's go back to the top contenders.
Yeah, good idea. Let's start with J.Y.Z. I mean, his story is incredible. Went from dealing crack to being named the greatest rapper by Billboard.
It's like the American dream, but for hip-hop.
Right. And his lyrics are classic East Coast rap, think 99 Problems, Hard Knock Life, Public Service Announcement.
Those are all-timers for sure.
And then there's his business side. Like, he's a cultural icon now, not just a musician.
Yeah, he's everywhere.
Okay, now, what about Eminem? What's the argument for him being the GOAT?
Well, it often comes down to his technical skills. Like, his rhymes are super complex, and his flow is crazy.
Yeah, he's known for that.
And he's influenced pretty much every rapper who came after him.
Like, they all look up to him.
And our source even says that Eminem, actually pushed the boundaries of the industry while J.Y.Z. mostly worked within them.
So Eminem was more of a game changer.
Yeah, that's the argument.
And then there's Biggie. Billboard ranked him at number 6, but even though his career was so short, he had a massive impact.
Yeah, it's kind of unbelievable how much he achieved in such a short time.
And his legacy lives on, he's been honored at the MTV Video Music Awards and the VH1 Hip Hop Honors.
And his clothing line, Brooklyn Mint, is still going strong.
Yeah, people are still celebrating him.
So we've got 3 really strong contenders here, but it all comes down to, what you personally value in a rapper.
Right. Is it the lyrics, the impact, the sales, the innovation, the influence?
There's so much to consider.
And these aren't even the only names in the conversation. There's also Nas, Rakim, Andre, 3000, Black Thought, Lil Wayne, MF Doom.
Oh, man, the list goes on and on.
It does, and they all have their strengths. Like Rakim, he changed the game with his complex rhymes and rhythms.
Yeah, he was pioneer for sure.
And someone who loves intricate lyrics might pick Nas or MF Doom over anyone else.
Right, it's all subjective.
And then there's the fans. They don't always agree with the critics.
Oh, that's for sure.
Like Ranker did this huge poll with over 623,000 votes, and Tupac came out on top, followed by Kendrick Lamar and then Eminem.
Wow, so the fans have different favorites.
Yeah, and even on X, people are always debating, they talk about J.Y.Z's business success, which Forbes loves to highlight.
Makes sense. Forbes is all about money.
And they talk about Eminem's huge sales numbers and Kendrick Lamar's recent albums.
It's a never-ending conversation.
It really is. So, this whole debate about the greatest rapper, it's kind of like how we argue about movies or books.
Oh, interesting. How so?
Well, think about movie characters.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Eminem's wordplay is kind of like Sherlock Holmes's deductions.
Oh, yeah, I see that.
Right.
Both of them are dissecting things and putting them back together in these super clever ways.
Exactly. And Tupac's impact on culture, it's kind of like Atticus Finch in To Kill a Mockingbird.
Yeah, they both stood up for what they believed in and made people think about important issues.
And J.Y.Z. building his empire, it's like Vito Corleone in The Godfather, strategic and powerful.
Yeah, they both had a long-term vision and knew how to get what they wanted.
And Kendrick Lamar's social commentary, it's like Katniss Everdeen in The Hunger Games, speaking truth to power.
Yeah, and connecting with a whole generation.
Yeah. And then Rakim's innovations in rhyme and flow, he's like Tony Stark constantly inventing new things.
Yeah, he's like the Iron Man of rap.
So the point is, there's no one right answer to this question of who's the greatest rapper.
It's more about what you personally connect with.
Exactly. It's about what you value in music.
And about exploring all the different styles and voices that hip-hop has to offer.
Exactly. And don't forget about influence. Tupac wasn't just making music, he was starting a movement.
That's true. He talked about inequality and violence and his own struggles in a way that no one had before.
Yeah, he was really raw and honest.
And that inspired other artists to be more open and personal in their music.
He set a new standard.
And Biggie influenced everyone with his storytelling and his flow.
And Rakim changed the way people rhyme. And J.Y.Z. showed everyone how to turn music into a business.
So all these rappers left their mark on hip-hop in different ways.
And when you look at what the critics are saying lately, it seems like there's a growing consensus around J.Y.Z.
Oh, really?
Right. Well, both Billboard and Forbes, they've both put him at number 1 in their recent rankings.
Interesting.
And they point to his longevity, his cultural impact, all the awards he's won. He's got 25 Grammys.
Yeah, and he sold a ton of albums.
Exactly. But the fans still have different opinions, like that Ranker poll we talked about.
Right. Tupac was number 1 for them.
Yeah, and there's this website called hip-hop wiki that analyzed a bunch of different expert lists, and they actually put Nas slightly ahead of JYZ.
Wow. So even the experts don't always agree.
Nope. And then there's the whole numbers thing. Eminem is way ahead in album sales. Like, Forbes says he sold 61.5 million.
That's a lot of albums.
It is, but JYZ has more Grammys.
So again, it depends what you think is more important.
Exactly. So looking at all of this, the trends, the different opinions, where do you think this whole greatest rapper debate is headed?
That's a good question.
Like, what do you think things will look like in 10 years?
Well, I think people are really starting to appreciate, like, intricate lyrics and albums that tell a whole story.
Yeah, like Kendrick Lamar is a good example of that.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And I think artists who can connect their own experiences with social issues are going to continue to resonate with people.
Yeah, that seems to be a trend.
So based on all that, I'm going to make a bold prediction.
I love bold predictions.
I think by 2035, Kendrick Lamar is going to be the one that everyone's calling the G.O.A.T.
Wow, interesting.
I know it's a hot take, but I think the depth of his music, his lyrics, his social commentary, it's all going to make him stand out in the long run.
I can definitely see that happening.
Even if his sales go up and down or he doesn't win every award, I think his impact will be undeniable.
Yeah, I think you might be right.
Time will tell.
So what do you think all of this means for our listeners?
Well, hopefully it gives them a new way to think about this whole debate.
Right. Like, it's not just about picking a favorite. It's about understanding what makes a rapper great.
And appreciating all the different ways that rappers have contributed to hip-hop.
And hopefully you've learned some new things about these artists and their music.
And maybe even discovered some new rappers to check out.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
So what resonated with you the most from this deep dive?
What criteria do you think are the most important when you're deciding who's the greatest?
It's a question that's worth thinking about.
And there's no right or wrong answer.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's all about your own personal connection to the music.
So keep exploring, keep listening, and keep the debate alive.
Because that's what keeps hip-hop interesting.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
And that's it for this deep dive. We'll catch you next time.